Welcome to Missed Opportunities for Good, the podcast where we open up the space to have conversations about trends and campaigns at the intersection of marketing, advertising, and impact.
Hi, I'm Alana Ficalora.
Hey, I'm Steph Belsky.
We're social impact strategists, colleagues, and friends who are on a mission to revolutionize the industry we love.
Today, there's a lot of virtue signaling, greenwashing, cause washing, or companies saying nothing out of fear of getting it wrong.
Whether it's a moment or a movement, it still has to be real. It has to be authentic and aligned with the brand, not just performative. It's about the action being taken that goes along with the messaging.
So we're here to highlight who's doing it well, what could be better, and how companies can stop leaving money and the potential for real social change on the table.
Our guest today on Creative Conversations is Sarah Gwilliam. Sarah, welcome to Missed Opportunities for Good.
Hi, ladies. So excited to be here.
Yay!
Before we get into an official introduction, can you please tell us why you do what you do without actually saying what you do?
What a tongue twister. Yes, I'd be glad to. The short version is that I do what I do because I believe that people deserve spaces where they feel seen, supported, and empowered, whether that's in the workplace, in their home, or in their community.
So succinct.
I love that. Yeah. Oh, well, first of all, I just have to say, the fact that Sarah Gwilliam is on Missed Opportunities for Good right now is bringing me tremendous joy. And just a quick background. Sarah is my work bestie. Sarah is my sister, my soul sister. We met the night that I got engaged, and we always joke that engaged. Sarah and I fell in love that night. We've laughed together, we've cried together, we've gotten laid off together, we've had miscarriages together. Yeah. Had babies together. That's way better than, the alternative. But I love you. We are so honored that you are here. And now I'm going to actually share what it is that you do. So
clear up those tears.
No, they're just getting started. Sarah Gwilliam has built her corporate impact career for the last 15 years, having worked in the evolution of sustainability and philanthropy, from CSR to global citizenship and social impact. She's worked in-house for household name retailers, which I could name drop, but I won't, and as a contractor for many more, building culture as a facilitator, navigating corporate responses on major events, and helping to build and strengthen community relationships. She's now taking these skills to a new place, working to support those in grief through the same skills of facilitation, empathy, and connection. I love you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy we get to share your story and lift you up and all the things. So, hey,
thank you. Here. It sounds so much better when you read it.
Well, it's impressive as hell, so you should be really modest about it.
And we'll link her LinkedIn so you can all understand all of the amazing accomplishments that are hidden in that lovely description.
Yes.
So welcome. We're so happy to have you on Missed Opportunities for Good, Sarah. We will love to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, let's jump in.
Or I should say our listeners would love to get to know you a little bit better.
No, I know that there are going to be some things that come out of today that are going to surprise and delight me. And, when you think you just have no idea. So the first question that we always ask our guests is, what first drew you to impact?
Love this question. What is the birth story of why we do what we do? Really?
Yes.
We love a good birth story.
I have
all of them in all forms, truly.
I actually can't think of how many guests on your podcast have said this, but my parents are what drew me to impact. Both of my parents were Army officers, and I think that afforded me a really unique view of the world. I grew up with this inherent sense of service and patriotism, which is like a whole other kit and caboodle we could talk about another day. But I grew up with this sense of service, and I grew up around the world, which exposed me to, I'll say, like really beautiful and also really hard realities that I'm probably still processing as an adult that maybe you don't fully understand as an elementary school and middle school child living around the world. But I think I grew up in awe of my parents who chose their careers that gave back to their country, and they raised us in a way to have our eyes wide open to what we were seeing. It never felt like rose-colored glasses. It never felt sugar-coated. It felt like, here's the reality. Here's how you're fortunate. Here's how others are fortunate. And the reverse is also true. And so just, I have all the pride in them choosing to do that and to sacrifice. I don't even know if they'd say to sacrifice, to use their skills to serve their country and to raise us as, really, I hate to say the word woke, but like really woke children. This is bringing to mind a memory. If you don't mind, can we go there?
Yeah, of course. Go for it. We want to go all the places.
The only thing I was going to say is that we thank them for their service, not just bringing you and Lindsay into the world, but also for serving their country and everything else.
Yeah, thank you. This was the first year that I honored them both on Memorial Day, and that felt hard and beautiful. And we'll get into that part of my story, but I was thinking about the question you asked and impact and where it came from. And obviously there's this huge high level story of what they did with their lives, but there's this tiny tangible example. And it really speaks, I think, especially to Steph and Alana and your backgrounds. But I remember them coming home, I think it's every fall, with a magazine, a thick catalog of nonprofit organizations from the government's federal combined campaign. And my sister and I were given the opportunity to go through these nonprofits and select one we wanted to donate to. And it was a thing. They made it a big deal. Like, we got excited to learn about the organizations and to have a choice and to be empowered to make impact by our parents. But
it's really cool.
Yeah. And the memory sticks with me because who has a paper catalog anymore?
Let alone of nonprofits. I am so fascinated by all of this. And what age? I'm already like, how can I replicate this for my child? I kind of love this idea.
Yeah.
What age did you start doing this?
I'm trying to think how early I remember doing it. I think in early elementary school. I mean, it was always something they did. And at some point we were aware enough to help make those decisions. And of course it went from like funding dolphins and unicorns, right? To like, to
very Lisa Frank of you.
Totally. Is that age. To then thinking about myself as a child in the world, hunger and whatever else spoke to us as kids. So, I imagine my sister was probably picking like equine therapy, right? Like, it just, the world of options of how you give back was so big in that tiny little book.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah. So I think I just knew I wanted to follow in their footsteps, and my path definitely looks different, but I think impact is at the heart of it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, this is such a great transition point. Speaking of all these social issues you're exposed to as a kid, is there a particular issue area or multiple areas that you are most passionate about?
Yeah. I think this one cracks me up because I think it's the question that stumps your guests because we just want to blurt a million things out. So I do. Yeah. Exactly. And
we also say you don't have to choose one, right?
Because, and they are all interconnected, so it's okay.
That's right.
And I think the older we get, the more experience we get, the more we see and know, right? The more you know, the more you don't know. And it's just all of these passions flood. But I appreciate the question because I think it allows me to look holistically at the passions that I've built my career around. And I do think there's probably two. And the first one isn't like an issue area. It's that I'm actually extremely passionate about helping companies find unique ways to make impact. Nothing gets me as excited as a brand or a company coming to me and saying, we need to do something, or we need to do something different. And we want to connect our people in a way that feels really resonant with the business, right? We're going to pull apart some cause campaigns later. And obviously you do that every show, but I find that much like missed opportunities for good, there are so many places where companies could have gone that extra next step. And I love that
Yep.
brainstorming session. How are we
Yeah.
actually looking at what is authentic to your business? Don't hide what you're doing. You're a business. We all get that. Don't hide that.
Right.
So how do you find that thing that really is true to what you do as a business and then also connects with your people? And I think my learnings over my history in CSR, which I appreciate you sharing, Steph, because I think it's very relevant and pointed, the language that we've seen in this evolution of CSR, right?
Yeah.
I started in traditional philanthropy, and then I found my way into global citizenship, right? Anyway, all of this to say is in all of this evolution of work or on cause impact for companies, I find that employees are so often missed as like
Yeah.
the key player. And so you're hearing my passion come out in this puzzle explanation, but that is a passion. I love it.
Yeah.
And you both do too, because you built your careers on it as well.
You're speaking our language.
Totally.
And what was the second one? You said there were two.
Yeah, the second one, I'm going to take you on a ride here. But
Let's go. Strap in.
I am also extremely passionate about grief. And I chuckle as I say it, because I know it feels out of right field to say that I'm passionate about grief. And it's definitely not something that people say. But, I'm living with grief, and I've decided that I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to be loud about my loss. And in doing so, I feel really authentic to myself. And I feel like maybe in doing it, I will give space to others to feel authentic to their grief and their loss. I'm living with grief. I'm a student of grief, and I am really passionate about this life-changing reality that is it's ever present for me. And I don't wish that on everyone, but I also know that grief will impact everyone because we're human.
Yeah.
Speaking of impact,
Yeah.
before we jump into what you're doing now,
Yeah.
what is an impactful project that you worked on that you were super proud of?
Yeah. Can I give you two?
Yes.
I'm
going to answer before Steph because she always keeps me to one, but we're going to give you two.
There's a project I'm really proud of that isn't what I'm doing now, and I just feel like it's pertinent to the times now. In 2020, I was helping to run the Civic Alliance, which was a membership of companies who were committed to standing up for democracy. And during this time, right, middle of COVID, elections, a lot of questions on integrity and will polls open and who will be allowed to vote and how will the ballots be counted. And there was just a lot of misinformation and I think dangerous ideas out there about the election. And so I was helping run an organization that helped companies see corporate civic engagement as a thing that they could participate in. And so in that year, I helped grow the Civic Alliance from 40 to 1,000, over 1,000 major brands and retailers. And that fall, we had all of these CEOs and brands make a commitment to stand up and be 100% in for democracy. And we plastered Times Square, all the brands that you knew, from Target to Best Buy to, I want to say Pfizer, but I don't want to get in trouble for it. I don't know. We're all out there saying we believe elections should be fair and transparent. We believe polling places should be safe and accessible. And we believe every American should have a voice. Like fundamental.
Where are they all now?
Right. Yeah, I will tell you, in this arc and evolution of, let's just say, CSR, it was interesting to grow corporate civic responsibility. And it's really a hard pill to swallow right now. Yeah. But regardless of now, there are for sure still companies trying to do the right thing in these moments.
100%. Of course.
Yes. And maybe a little bit more quieter
Yes.
than
Yep.
I'm sure they
others.
all, yeah, there's a lot that still exists. It's just not as loud and proud as
Yep.
it was in that moment.
Yeah. And I think it's
And there's still opportunity for more.
there's always opportunity.
Absolutely.
But 40 to 1,000, I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sorry, I'm still stuck on that.
Yeah,
That was
I mean,
amazing.
there was a lot of things that happened to make that a thing. And in
Yeah.
any moment, I think you can look around and see the externalities that may have also been levers. And I'll tell you that I think this is going in a completely different direction than I intended to, but I think candidly, the murder of George Floyd really put companies
Yeah, of course.
on edge, right? And they wanted to
Yep.
they wanted to respond and they didn't know how.
Mhm.
The waters of language and stance inside felt very shark filled, but civics felt like that bridge. Can't talk about all that,
Yeah.
but we can talk about civics and how you can
Yep.
have
Right.
your voice heard.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
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 It's true. It was an incredible initiative and you worked your ass off. And I remember seeing the evolution of the Civic Alliance in real time. And, it was more companies taking more stands and just
Mhm.
you crushed it.
One after the other. Yeah. Thank you.
And it also, like you said, it was a very kind of purpley issue that everybody could get around and say, okay, here is how we can support our employees.
Yeah.
Here's how we can help
Yeah.
with recruitment. Here's a tool that will help with retention, right? Like all of these things came down to how can you also toot your horn a little bit louder for democracy.
Yeah.
And that was the key to unlock so
Yeah.
much for these companies.
Yeah, I'll say a lot of the commitments were internal. CEOs committing to
Yeah.
providing information and time and access and hosting polling places and staffing polling
Yeah.
places and right?
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
a very big part of my career history, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
You should be.
So important.
Thanks. Thanks. All right, can I flip the page?
Yes.
Another thing in flip. Ooh, that was a good noise, Alana.
I'm working on my sound effects.
Insert what here. Flipping a page. Something else I'm really proud of is what
Yeah.
I'm currently doing. And I'll say I hope it makes an impact. I'm proud of it and I hope that it has the legs to be impactful. But
It does.
Yes, of course it does.
as someone in grief, I find that learning is always how I cope, whatever it is. A new thing, like just dive deep. So finding myself in grief again, or perpetually, that sounds dramatic, but perpetually in grief, I decided this time to really take a beat and learn about grief. And so I have been studying grief. I've been reading about grief. I have become a grief coach. I've been running workshops here in LA to really help people feel witnessed in their grief, which is a big part of the language around grief is grief needs to be witnessed. It is a relational loss and therefore needs a relational component to help move forward.
Yeah.
I try not to use the word heal in grief because I don't know that I believe that that's possible yet, but I think living with loss is how I've been framing that. So I'm doing all of that work and we're also living in the world of AI. So here we are. I have started a company called Solace, and Solace is the first ever AI grief coach. Basically, right now, if you were to find Solace's Instagram, which is Solace _
I'll link it.
concierge, there you go.
Yeah.
You could go and start chatting, DMing Solace, and my AI agent will have a conversation with you about your grief. And it's an agent that's what I call my AI robot for language understanding. Sounds professional that way. I've trained my agent in my language and my beliefs on grief and my formula for grief coaching, which I'm not claiming as my own. They are borrowed and pieced together and pulled from people's experiences. And so right now you can go and chat with my AI agent. And I'll tell you, within the first few months of launching, I've had 1,000 users.
It's amazing.
Incredible.
Thank you. What I heard from these people was just that they wanted to talk. Originally, my agent was, like, gonna plan their funerals. That sounds horrible to say so glib, but, like, help them with logistics, right? Like, the very hard nitty-gritty of, like,
Yeah.
living life
Yeah.
and managing end of life, and my
Yeah.
users were like, "That's great. I'll get there, but right now I need this, and this is just to talk."
Well, and Sarah, I think it's also important to share a little bit more, like how, if you don't mind me asking, going there, how soon,
Yeah,
when, what was the timeline of when you started your grief
yeah,
coaching to when you created this incredible AI
yeah,
agent that is making an impact and
yeah,
is helping lots of people? And
yeah.
what all precipitated that, if you don't mind
So let's
going there?
rewind 13 years ago. No, listen, Steph, I'm gonna tell you my grief story because that's what I believe is important. That's why I do what I
Yeah.
do, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna boil it down to facts, which leaves out a lot of the emotionality of it, but 13 years ago, I lost my mom to ALS after being one of her main caregivers. I wrote my grad school thesis in hospice with my mom. Wild, and then she wasn't, she wasn't there. Factual, and I did a lot of things in life since then, like meet my husband, get married, right? Have a baby, move
Yeah.
across the country. I lost my dad surprisingly on New Year's Eve of last year. And I think what happened was I returned to work as I was also a
Yeah.
new mom. I was less than a year postpartum and now had lost both my parents. And I was not the same person. And I think so much of
Yeah.
the world expects grievers to get over it and show back up as the person that they were. And it's just not the case.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, I started learning and reading. I left my job probably in May, and here we are in, gosh, it's December. Yeah, so it all happened really pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I found that learning led me to a grief certification, a coaching certification,
Yeah.
and then I randomly met this incredible company called Audos, which would love to
Mm-hmm.
link to, and
Mm-hmm.
it's basically a tech platform that helps entrepreneurs who aren't AI experts grow a company. And so I've been working with an incredible team there. And between their expertise and my grief training now,
It's awesome.
yeah, we are hoping that this is a thing. And I have a website coming and other tools coming to really help grievers navigate the hard moments and the beautiful ones, right?
Yeah. And how incredible to have built it in such a relatively short period of time, already see feedback from users, already be adapting to what the users are needing, being able to have that real world component to influence all of this as well from your in-person workshops.
Yeah.
I know I'm excited to collaborate with you for the workshop for her coming up
Yep.
and get to see this all in real life. And so it's amazing to see how quickly this is growing and hopefully continues to help more and more people because, as you said, grief impacts everybody at some point.
Yeah.
So how amazing is that?
Thank you. I wanted and Autos really helped me do this, but get an idea out there and get immediate response. And the immediate
Yeah.
response was, we want to talk about our grief and we don't feel like
Yeah.
any vessel that exists, be it therapy or our friends and our family, can hold all of what we need.
That space.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how real is that, right? So that
Mm.
makes a lot of sense, especially in today's world. People are holding so much that they're not working through. And so
Yeah.
people's
Mhm.
capacity to hold space for others seems like it's only diminishing. So
I mean, then you get into
hopefully a positive use of
yes.
AI for all the
Yep.
scary negative things, like what an amazing
Yes.
way to be able to use it.
And I've thought a lot about that. And maybe actually I think that might be part of my challenge. So happy to
Yeah, well, my next question is, what is your biggest challenge you're facing? So do tell. Let's just roll right in.
I think I have waded into a territory that I don't know if stigmatize is the right word for both areas, but but grief is certainly seen as
Yep.
taboo and or it's not talked about.
Mhm.
My hope is that's changing. I feel like it's a very nuanced piece of grief, but I do feel like pregnancy loss is something we're starting to hear more of and people are more
Mhm.
open about.
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
that my hope is that grief in general becomes a more acceptable topic. I mean, this is me doing what I do, but I now sign my emails in grief. Like I'm a little in your face about it, but I do that so that other people can feel like, oh, I resonate with that. I'm happy to like put myself out there if it means that other people feel that there's a safe space to
Yeah.
whether they want to add that to their signature or they just want to feel it. I very much open to that. So I think grief is an interesting topic and hard topic to be in, especially when my goal is like culture change.
Yeah.
I
But it is culture change in and of itself too.
Yep.
Yeah. And I love, Sarah, that when you first told me about this AI,
Mhm.
this AI agent, our robot friend, I was like, okay, like I get it. I see. I mean, I'm going to support you through and through, no matter what, come hell or high water. And it did take me a
Mhm.
second to be like, well, okay, she built the tool that she wished she had. And that's when it really solidified for me.
Yeah.
And I also love that you're humanizing
Yeah.
this very artificial
Yeah.
thing. And yeah.
Which is you're absolutely right. I started this as my own customer, right? So I think the second challenge outside of just working in the grief space, which is hard, both emotionally on me and because it's a little taboo, is the AI space. And I think it is still a polarizing space to be in. And I think a lot of people have that moment where they're like, they slam on the brakes in their brain because they're like, whoa, AI doing grief coaching. And I have a lot of things to say about that, but I think at the end of the day, there is that reaction, and that's a challenge for me. Across the board, I probably over-index to be very clear that you are speaking to AI, that you are speaking with a robot that's just artificial intelligence. So I want to be very clear to my users. I will tell you, my users respond and treat my agent in the kindest, most human way, and that is what my agent gives back. But you're right, I'm trying to take something that is deeply human, and for me, the challenge is almost on the back end. I'm creating processes and systems and tools and user experiences, right? And all of this techie business language for a very human experience.
Yeah.
So there's like the AI piece of it, and then there's my challenge of operationalizing from a business perspective grief. And every once in a while, I have to take a step back and just like ground myself in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I think my hope is that in practicing talking about your grief, even to an AI grief coach, you are building the skills to be able to go out into the world and say, like, you know what, today was a hard day. Today I was in the grocery store and that freaking fruitcake aisle display got me. And it did. It got me, guys. I actually walked by this fruitcake stand and saw it in passing, and I then had to go back and just stand in front of it. I just felt called to go to the altar of fruitcake to honor my dad.
Aww.
I mean, the holidays are a beautiful time that bring up so much.
Yeah.
And I'm living in that reality and doing all of this work. So it's on a challenge, but I just think my hope, and if I'll say it out here so we can all hold me accountable. It's just that my empathy, I can't grief coach if I lose my empathy or if I become too numb to other people's stories, right? I can't do this work without maintaining my empathy. So,
And teaching the AI agent to have empathy too.
Which is dangerous language to say a lot.
I know. I know. It's
only Sarah's become self-aware. The rest of them have been.
I mean, it is, right? I
But
will tell you that users of AI right now in, I'll say like our generation, predominantly use AI for mental health reasons. Good or bad, long-term impacts unclear. But to validate all this, I do want to share that I had a conversation with a therapist the other day who is interested in using my coach for their clients in the moments between their meetings, between their sessions. And I don't know that all therapists or all doctors or all people who work in the world of diagnosis, right, will feel that way about coaching, which is a very ambiguous space, and AI, which is very there's a lot of questions. But the fact that there was a world of professionals who saw this as a
Mhm.
tool that would
Support the
supplement.
work that they're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So interesting. Well, and the importance for them probably of having that balance too, of knowing that, or thinking maybe that, that because those people are coming to them anyways, that this will help support that person's journey versus them like suddenly ditching them for,
right, right,
the alternative.
right.
Because obviously, yeah, I mean, it can be so controversial in the mental health space, but also if it can be done right, what an opportunity.
Yep.
And there's so many conversations too about how there's not enough women behind what's being created in AI and the type of
Ooh,
decisions that are being made on the back end and the type of people who are creating on
yeah,
so many
yeah,
levels, right? And so
Preach.
the importance of having someone like you behind the scenes doing it in an ethical, responsible way,
Mm.
being mindful, being compassionate, having the empathy and embedding that truly from the beginning and not just building it as a money grab is also so very important to the greater humanity and cultural impact that you've talked about wanting to make. It's huge.
thank you.
Mm.
Thank you so much. I really hadn't thought about that because I'm just here doing it as my own customer, but
No, I think there's like, I don't know if you're already looking for speaking opportunities, but I feel like you need to be like spreading the gospel on panels and talking
Uh-huh.
about the work even as you're creating it, because even just having those conversations and having the representation is
yeah,
so important.
thank you. Yeah, sign
Mm.
me up.
Yeah,
Here I
take
am.
that in for a second.
So Steph and I are now her agent. Give us a call. We will set you up with Sarah William. She takes top rate.
You bet.
Well, I think that's a fantastic segue. And wait, I'm going to stop myself for a second. When you talk about how you can't lose your empathy and how you can't be desensitized, first of all, I don't think that will ever happen.
Mhm.
But second of all, I think it's also so critically important in order for you to keep doing this work. You need to take care of yourself in a different way. And I know that you've learned to prioritize yourself differently and hold stronger boundaries and really understand that you cannot give from an empty cup, that you need to take care of yourself in a different way. And I think that your users also need to understand that they need to learn some of those skills and tools and resources. And I love that you're going to build out the website with some of these things so that you can be a support in a different way as well as the AI coach.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, my self-care looks very different these days than it did,
Yeah.
even a year ago, and it's never enough. And I don't know if it's the empty cup metaphor, but I think as women, we have this capacity to always just do it, always just do more, always just take it on. And
Yeah.
I think I'm finding that making space is, even at minimal amounts, is just so restorative for me. And obviously I want to do more and be better to myself. And I think my agent reflects some of that. Like, my agent gives tools, guidance often to users around grounding in a moment, right? And doing a 5 4 3 2 1 reflection and just taking the space to acknowledge the thing that you're feeling, right? And I'm trying to practice those things, and I now have a morning where I just read because I never do that, and it's self-care. And there's little things, and they'll stick and some won't, and that's okay, but I'm trying. Thanks.
So good. So I know
Hmm.
this might be a different question, but what obviously there's going to be multiple speaking engagements in your future, but what would your ideal project or collaboration be with this new lens?
Yeah. When I think about Solace, I think about a lot of unique ways I hope it could help people. I think there is a world of people who are grieving beyond just bereavement, right? They're grieving identity. They're grieving the loss of home. They're grieving loss of a pet. They're grieving a professional career, right?
Identity, yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of really unique that I hope Solace can be an add-on to those people. I hope that Solace reaches those who will never get grief support, and I hope that it is an add-on to people who are already getting that support.
Mhm.
I would love to see myself out there talking loudly about grief. And I find, right, my personal and professional have always been this muddy gray area. They're just always mixed together. And I'm happy to lead with that and to
Yeah.
tell my story and to laugh about it and to tell you that that there is a box with a shipping label that I was supposed to send my dad last Christmas that I never mailed to him because he died, but I won't touch it. It's just living there. Like, let's talk about that crazy, weird shit that we all do to process our loss. And so I hope great things for Solace. And whether this is professional for me or just passion and personal, I want to keep talking about my loss. And I'm down for a stage and I'm down for a wine bar conversation and I'm down for, just chatting with my best friend. Friends, best friends.
No, it's okay.
It's not offended. Okay. I'm the third wheeler. I get it. Fine. Just kidding. Totally kidding. It's all gonna fall off the track. For friends or not friends, new friends. As I tell my daughter all the time, new friends. What's a piece of advice you would give someone looking to incorporate more social impact into their brand? This is kind of coming back around to where we started in a way, right?
Yeah.
And what's a piece of advice you would give to someone who is looking to incorporate more social impact into their brand or marketing or the work their business is doing, whatever it may be, their day-to-day job, if it's not already in this space?
I love that last edition of the framing because I think that it's an idea I've been trying to come to, this idea that we can work very clearly in social impact, or we could do anything else and bring impact to it, or find a way to live our impact and value needs outside of that, right? There's a million, right? I can't say that my mom was passionate about hospital administration, but she did it for the military, right? But she found her outlets in other ways. I just think that's a reality we can all embrace more of. We can certainly meld our personal lives with our personal passions, but also that just may not be always possible. So it's okay if you have to work an hourly shift and also look through that combined federal campaign book later, right?
Yeah.
But I think generally, I like to think about if I was an employee of such and such brand, what would I want to say about my company? What would be special or different or unique, right? I'm like rolling my eyes, which you can't see. I'm rolling my eyes. You have like, oh, great, another matching campaign. Like, great. As an employee, great, match my contribution or whatever it is, but do something different. I don't know that we'll get to this later in campaign world, but I've been thinking a lot about this hard moment where I had to fly back for my dad's funeral, and all of the people who fly when they're in grief on the way to a funeral or an end of life moment. Why is there no program or campaign that a person can opt into to say, I'm in grief and airlines should give me access to their lounge. They should have some training for their staff on what a person in grief may look like or need, or what would help them feel seen in a moment, right? That whole flight, I was choking back, trying not to just lose it, right? And I'm sitting centimeters from a stranger who's probably like, what is wrong with her? Anyway, something like that as an employee, I'd be like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. It's interesting. It is interesting to think about too, because I remember my mom was flying back for a funeral once and how buying the last minute ticket, you're dealing with a situation and now you're paying some exorbitant amount of money. Last minute, buying it through tiers. You don't have time. You don't have the luxury of picking when you want to go or looking at options or whatever. It's like you need to buy X flight at this time because that's when you need to get there by, and it's last minute and all of the things. And how even that in and of itself is the opposite of supportive to somebody who's grieving. And the opportunity airlines have to make that difference and to support people in that way. If you were to call and say, hi, I need to get back for this funeral, would that person on the other end have the ability to give you something that wasn't represented on the website? Right. Or if you don't even, you know what I mean? Like it seems like there's such a ripe opportunity to be able to handle all of those experiences so differently.
Is this something that Solace will eventually
Yeah.
be able to do.
I mean, from the logistics perspective, that's where we started, right? How do I help you? How does my
Yeah.
agent help you book that flight or take the logistics of getting your car or working with the officiant or writing your obituary or all of these things? That's where it started from.
Yeah.
And I just feel like
Yeah.
that is one drop in the bucket. And if the companies can step in, that would be really cool.
Yeah. So interesting to think about. And then I'm sure everyone has a different reaction to some extent too. And so I'm sure companies are afraid on a lot of levels of how to show up, because what you could do for one person that would feel supportive might
So you have to be able to opt
turn
in.
people upside down. So like
Yep.
how you,
Yep.
but like, there's so many ways to think about it and so many things to consider, but also if you could nail that, how incredible that could be.
Yeah.
Oh, so many things to think about, and
It's so good.
potential future projects and collaborations in that way too.
I was going to say, I just saw the next 5 years for you, Sarah. No big deal. All right. Well, before we jump into the campaign that you've brought us, which, yes, everyone, before you click this link, get your tissues ready. Let's quickly review our criteria for you, Sarah, as well as for our other listeners. So the first thing we look at is alignment.
Next is partnerships,
Call to action and transparency.
engagement.
And lastly, optimization and amplification.
With that, Sarah, if you can please tell us about a campaign that you found and brought with you today that you're seeing that is doing it well or not, and give us a quick summary of the creative for anybody who may not have seen it. And then obviously we'll link to it in the show notes as well. And then we'll get into talking through all the criteria, etc.
Great. I do want to share that I wanted to find a campaign that spoke to grief. And
Yes.
there aren't a lot out there. And I think there are very clear reasons that doesn't exist or doesn't exist well.
Mm-hmm.
I found a lot of PSAs, which makes sense for people navigating grief or loss. But I think there's real both concerns around the taboo of the subject of grief. And then I think there's real caution around how do we not commoditize or make money on someone's pain, right?
Yeah.
I think
like take advantage of that feeling.
Exactly. So I think those live in my mind as two reasons I didn't find what I was fully looking for. But I then found the whole world, much like Hallmark made for TV Christmas movies, I found this whole world of holiday commercials. And so many of them touch on themes of grief, like remembrance or honor or tradition. And obviously, I spent far too long crying at holiday commercials to bring you one. But I want to talk a little bit about Kroger's holiday commercial in 2022. It's called The Magic Cookbook. And so Kroger has these characters. They're called Krogi. To me, it's a very Pixar-esque feeling of adorable.
100%.
Yeah.
It's also a little claymation-y.
Yeah, I agree. I know nothing about
It's very holiday trope.
Yeah. So it's a story of let's say a grandfather, and he's in his kitchen and he happens upon his wife's old cookbook. And you come to find out that his wife is no longer with us, and he starts to relive key memories with his wife as he cooks through the cookbook. And it's just beautifully done. And the ending scene is that he cooks something from the cookbook and his granddaughter walks in and says, "It's even better if you share," right? And so it's just a beautiful telling of memory kind of versus the loss of grief, right? With adorable characters and the music gets you good. This is set to a Colby Calais version of Iris, the Goo Goo Dolls song. And I found out that the Kroger and their agency worked specifically to record this version with Colby. And so it's just beautiful and emotional. And I think it's really resonant with Kroger's purpose, which they say very broadly is to feed the human spirit.
Mm.
And a quote from the press release from one of their VPs was just that we take the role food plays in our customers' lives seriously. And I think this is a beautiful way in which
Yeah.
food connects to memory. And I think it will
Mm.
connect to so many people's realities, whether it's holiday or not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so funny. Watching it, I didn't have this association. It made me think of Up, but now as you're speaking about it, it's also reminding me of the movie Nona's that recently came out because
Yes.
he also creates
Yeah.
the restaurant because of his memories of his
Yeah.
grandmother and
I mean, what a
with
great
all the
story of,
recipes and stuff like that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but how universal of a truth is that,
Yeah.
right? Food bringing people together, family recipes, also the lost
Mhm.
art of the written recipe book. I mean, come on.
yeah,
And this, that passing down of generations, it's also a story that every person in some capacity can relate to because
yeah,
everybody came from somebody.
yeah,
Yeah.
So you, at the very least, have a grandparent, whether or not I guess you knew them, but it is that multi-generational story and the uniting of people through food and family and holidays. And yeah, it's a beautiful story to
Well,
share. And
and
yeah.
and the attention to detail in this commercial too, right? Seeing everything from the calendar that says family dinner and it's not happening on Christmas, but it's happening a few days before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And the pictures that are in the
yeah,
recipe book that open up to a scene.
mhm,
It's so beautifully creatively done. And yeah, I mean, total fucking
yeah,
waterworks. I watched it twice last night. I just started bawling because I recently lost my grandmother. She was 97 and a half years
yeah,
young and had a bad fall about a month before and just decided, you know what?
ugh,
I'm done.
yeah,
And and she could have bounced back because we have free will and she chose to go in the opposite direction. And so yeah, it definitely hit a little bit
yeah,
differently, but it was just yeah, it's so good.
yeah.
It's so good. And I'm just really, really grateful that you shared it with us.
I,
And the music
yeah, the
really did me
music.
in. I
Mhm.
was like, oh, forget it. Like
So like,
if it had been the Goo Goo Dolls,
yeah,
it would not have hit nearly as
I
hard.
know it's
Let's be honest.
generation. But I will say they've done a heartfelt, similarly designed and
Yeah.
used commercial for the last 4 years since, and they all talk about, like, a set of parents who don't have a child, who have years and years of foreign
Mm.
exchange students who then come back for.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, I remember that one.
There's one about a little boy sneaking food from his table to give to an elderly woman who lives alone next door, and then they end up celebrating
Mm.
together, right? And this year, there's one about it's about veterans and a little boy
Oh,
making gingerbread cookies that look like soldiers, and a big welcome.
Mm.
So all of this to say, I think they're beautiful. I think they're created in a way that lives Kroger's purpose, and
Mm.
not in like a specific campaign moment, but just in the work that Kroger does. They have a really incredible Zero Hunger, Zero Waste program where
yeah.
they donate a lot in terms of both funds and meals. They're working on a bunch of programs to get surplus food in the hands of those who need it versus it becoming food waste. They donate a lot to hunger relief organizations. And a cool part that I thought is that they also have a fund that donates to entrepreneurs working in food systems. So
Mm.
to me,
Very cool.
yeah, there's a lot of like, it feels fairly holistic in terms of how they're giving back to their purpose and how it's coming to life in
Mhm.
holiday campaigns.
Yeah,
Well, and it's
these are
it's so
really
it's
sweet.
so nice and refreshing to see that too, because a lot of people, when you think of a holiday campaign, I mean, now we're also thinking of John Lewis every year, but it, that was from our last episode. But also in thinking about Subaru always does a really nice job of incorporating impact into their ads. But somebody like Coca-Cola is just here Santa Claus again, or here are the polar bears again, and we remember it. We have that nostalgia and that association.
That's part of
But when you can, yeah, right. But when you can use that real estate, which is so valuable, with intentionality and with empathy, really, it makes a difference. It makes an impact.
Yeah, you have to do it right. I also watched, candidly, a McDonald's.
Also true.
Yes. Yes, there's plenty of campaigns that are 100% not doing it right. But I mean, they are well done. Year over year, we'll link to some of these other spots in the comments. And interesting too, how even though it's in animation, they're making their diverse cast. They're representing different communities. I just saw there was the other one with it looks like a blind grandson and the grandmother making tamales in Spanish. And so it seems like there's a range of representation, and they're not just making these like white cookie cutter dolls, cartoons just kind of dance around, which I think is also important to acknowledge. And I think this also goes back to something else we talk about a lot, the fact that there doesn't have to be an impact campaign connected to every single commercial, right? Because the importance here is the stories they're telling and how they're bringing those stories to life. And it doesn't have to be, oh, look, we talked about memories. Now, what are you going to do for your wife that passed away or whatever, right? That's not the point. The point is to honor those memories. And it's not like throwing Kroger product at you. The only time you really see it is when they're the bags, right? They're not overly putting the product in your face. They're just telling human stories. And the importance of just honoring those memories or honoring those conversations that they're talking about is the impact that it has.
Yeah.
And then to your point, they're doing all these other things regarding food waste on the back end and sticking to their values in a myriad of other ways. So, yeah.
I don't have a Kroger near me, but I'm now a big fan.
Yeah, I think they're Midwest. I feel like I
was going to say
had them in Chicago.
Yep. In Chicago and in Detroit. And man, now I really wish I could be brand loyal again. But no, this is really good stuff. Really good stuff.
A beautiful holiday end note.
Yes, 100%. And we will make sure we get this out for the holidays, because how important. And I'm 100% going to go back and watch all of these with.
They even have an influencer component to it, right? Colby Calais. So like, is she, well, I know it was from 2023, but like maybe she could post it again.
You know what? I did some sleuthing, Miss Belsky.
Of course you did.
And
of course you did.
Colby Calais did in fact post about this in 2022. And I'll send you the link to that Instagram post so we can.
I love that.
Yes. Love you. Good job. Do we think that there's any missed opportunities for good? I don't.
Opening stores in California. Jeez, Kroger. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Totally fair. Totally fair.
No, I think kind of how we started this conversation, I think there's probably missed opportunities for companies leaning into supporting grief in a beautiful, holistic way. But I'm pretty impressed by this campaign. And I think there's always going to be people who don't want a bittersweet, beautiful thing that triggers tears on their TV. And I think there's just going to always be an opinion about, about something like that. Right. I saw some Reddit boards that weren't thrilled at how sad it made them, but I think it's a beautiful sad.
Yeah.
And why it's so important to have those conversations about grief, because it brings to light the fact that we can have joy and we can have sorrow and we can have, there are so many feelings associated with it.
Together. Yeah.
And the importance of being okay with feelings, because also a lot of the country is not into feeling.
Snaps.
So there's so much that can happen there about just feeling,
holding it together
and showing emotion.
Yeah.
And
as my forever rabbi boyfriend likes to say, and as he lives in grief is not a linear process, and it comes in waves, and it's a roller coaster, and you might, like you said, Sarah, you might run into the fruitcake display and need to sit there and be there. And you might also laugh about it later because you heard a really funny joke. So, like it, both and. It is the ultimate both and.
So thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us. We really appreciate you coming onto the pod. Where can we send folks to learn more about you and your work?
Ooh, my Instagram is Solace_concierge. So you can go talk to my agent there. And I'm sure you'll share people my LinkedIn. But
Yes, all of it.
thank you both.
We
This has been a
will.
lovely conversation, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Now
Yeah.
too.
Sarah, my love, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for helping us shine a light and learn from those who are doing it well and reducing the missed opportunities for good.
We want to hear from you. Let us know, what campaigns are you seeing that are doing it well? Who would you like to see us interview? And what campaign would you like us to audit?
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you, everyone who has read our Substack, all in pursuit of our mission to revolutionize the industry that we love.
Missed Opportunities for Good is a production of Aligned for Impact and Love of Good. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, y'all.